the desert sun blazed over Jack's quiet ranch. He'd spent years building his peaceful life away from HOA drama. His land stretched wide, bordered by wooden fences and endless skies. But lately, his so-called neighbor, Karen, had become an endless source of trouble. She wasn't just nosy, she was entitled, loud, and always trying to bring HOA order to an area that wasn't even under HOA control. One morning, Jack noticed something strange. His massive 2,000-gallon water tank was gone. It had been sitting behind the barn the night before, and now it was just empty dirt. He followed the tire tracks leading down the road right toward Karen's house. His jaw clenched. The audacity of this woman was unreal. Jack didn't rush in. He wanted proof. So, he checked his security camera, and there it was, Karen and two HOA volunteers hauling his water tank away in broad daylight. They looked proud of themselves, laughing. But Jack smiled instead of getting mad. "All right," he whispered, "you want it that bad? You'll keep it." Little did Karen know, that tank wasn't just any tank. It had a self-filling overflow valve connected to Jack's underground pump, a pump he could control remotely. And tonight, he planned to teach her the lesson she'd never forget. By afternoon, Karen and her crew had placed Jack's stolen tank right in the middle of their HOA park. She called it a community hydration system, claiming it was donated by a local rancher. People clapped. She smiled like a queen accepting her crown. From his porch, Jack watched the scene live through his camera feed. His anger had turned into a calm satisfaction. He had spent years being pushed around by Karen and her HOA, fined for his fence being too tall, lectured about his horses being too loud. But this time, the game was on his field. Jack logged into his control panel, a simple interface linked to his underground well. He had built it himself to manage his irrigation systems automatically. The tank had one problem: its overflow pipe had no shutoff. If too much pressure built up, it would spew water like a geyser. Jack clicked a button. The pump came alive with a low hum. "Let's see how your hydration system handles pressure," he said softly. Within minutes, the tank began filling rapidly. The HOA crowd was still celebrating, taking selfies around it. No one noticed the faint hiss from the side valve. Jack leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Enjoy the free water, Karen," he whispered. "It's coming." Karen was hosting an HOA community event around the tank that evening. She wore her big sun hat, giving speeches about neighborhood unity and proper land use. Jack couldn't believe the nerve. She'd actually painted her initials, KB, on the side of his tank. Meanwhile, the water level kept rising. The underground pump worked tirelessly, sending thousands of gallons upward. Jack could see droplets forming along the seams, the first warning signs. He didn't want to destroy anything, he just wanted to make a point. But Karen's arrogance deserved a splash of humility. Literally, as the crowd laughed and ate snacks, Karen climbed on top of the tank for photos. "See? This is how real leadership looks," she shouted. Jack increased the pump pressure slightly. The tank vibrated faintly. A few people stepped back. Karen," one neighbor called out, "is it supposed to make that noise?" She waved her hand dismissively. "It's fine. It's community property now." Jack chuckled and whispered, "Not for long." Back at his ranch, the pump light blinked green, meaning full pressure had been reached. The moment was near. He could already imagine Karen's face when she realized what was happening. It started with a hiss, a thin spray shooting out from the top of the tank. Karen turned, startled, as water misted her hat. "Who's doing that?" she barked. But within seconds, the mist turned into a full-force blast. The crowd screamed and ran as water erupted from every seam, flooding the HOA lawn. Garden tables flipped, decorations floated away, and Karen stood frozen, soaked head to toe. Jack's camera caught everything. He laughed harder than he had in years. "Nature always balances itself," he said with a grin. Karen tried yelling orders, but the gushing sound drowned her out. "Turn it off," she screamed. But she had no control. Jack did. He let it run for a few more moments, then calmly shut the pump down. The flood slowed, leaving muddy puddles and drenched lawn chairs. Later that night, HOA members argued about who was responsible. Karen blamed everyone but herself, of course. But photos and videos spread online fast. HOA Water Queen's disaster became a trending clip on local social media, and for Jack? That was only part one of his quiet revenge. He wasn't done yet. Not until Karen learned the full meaning of property rights. The next morning, Karen marched to Jack's gate, dripping with attitude and fake confidence. "You sabotaged our system," she yelled. Jack opened the gate calmly. "My system," he corrected. "You stole it." She scoffed. "The HOA has authority to use public resources, except my private ones," he interrupted, showing her a printed photo from the camera feed. Karen loading the tank into her truck, her face turned pale. "That doesn't prove anything," she stammered. "Oh, it proves plenty," Jack said. "You want to make this public? I'll send it to the county sheriff." She stepped back, trying to keep her composure. "You wouldn't dare." Jack smiled faintly. "You should know me better by now." By noon, the HOA had an emergency meeting, and for the first time, Karen didn't show up. Rumors spread. People whispered about the footage. Some even apologized to Jack, but Jack wasn't interested in their apologies. He just wanted peace and maybe a little quiet satisfaction that justice, for once, had come naturally. A few days later, an inspector arrived at the HOA park. Someone had reported misuse of private property. Karen tried to talk her way out of it, but the evidence was overwhelming. The inspector traced the tank's serial number right back to Jack's ranch. The HOA was fined for property theft and environmental damage due to water waste. Karen lost her presidency immediately. The local paper ran a headline: "HOA President's Plan Backfires, Community Drenched in Scandal." Jack didn't gloat publicly. He didn't have to. His peace returned naturally, but Karen, humiliated, tried one last thing, showing up again, this time to apologize. Jack let her speak. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," she said softly. He nodded. "That's the problem, Karen. You never mean to, you just do." And with that, he closed his gate. For good, weeks passed. Grass grew back over the muddy park, and the HOA replaced its leadership. Jack's tank sat safely on his ranch again, gleaming in the sun. One afternoon, he watched a storm roll across the horizon, the air fresh with rain. He thought about how easily people forget the meaning of boundaries until they're flooded by the consequences. Karen moved out quietly not long after. No one missed her meetings. Jack smiled as he poured himself a cup of coffee, listening to the steady hum of his pump, the same one that had taught the HOA a priceless lesson. "Respect what isn't yours," he murmured, "or nature will make sure you remember." And that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you love the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.